today is an inspiring client success story. And listen to find out how this client surpassed her yearly revenue goal in less than 6 months. Hey, I'm Amanda, and welcome to the Best Damn Coach podcast, where I will teach you how to coach yourself, how to coach your clients, and how to run your coaching business. The number one goal of this show, though, is to help you be the best damn coach you can be so your clients go out and tell the world about you. So, let's do the damn thing. Welcome to the Best Damn Coach podcast. And before I share this woman's amazing story, actually, she'll be sharing most of it. I want to just remind you that she is an example of what's possible. Both her, both myself, all of the women I share on this podcast had a passion, had an idea, and just said yes to themselves to go all in. And this is what we do inside of the Best Damn Coach community. We help coaches go from this certification, post-certification, or post-passion place, and we help them maximize their gifts. We teach you inside the program how to 10x your client results so you can increase profit in your business without spending money on marketing. Essentially, we're teaching you how to be a better coach, how to build the skill of growing a business so that you can grow your business organically without relying on the algorithms and all the ad spend and all those fancy marketing strategies that might be costing you a lot at this phase of business. And the BDC is open for enrollment now. So head on over to amanda-walker.com/bestdamncoach to learn more. Welcome, ladies, to the show. As I always say, my favorite podcasts are when clients come on and share their journey and share their world because they are an example of what is possible for all of us. And so I'm so excited for Amber to come live with us today. So welcome.
Hey, I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
One of the things I love about you is actually something that you just said before we came on, and you said, I'm trying not to overthink it because I just want it to sound natural. And when I'm coaching with you and you are practicing with me and we are engaged, one of the things that comes across is like your genuine sense of who you are and how you serve people. And I'm sure that your clients feel that too. So kudos to you for that.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Why don't you share a little bit about who you coach and what you do?
Awesome. Well, like you said, I'm Amber Frauenholtz, and I am a nutritional therapy practitioner and restorative wellness practitioner, basically a health coach who specializes in all things women's health. So anything from preconception all the way through to like perimenopause. But my bread and butter is helping those new mamas. So anyone is sort of in that postpartum timeframe. And to me, I think of postpartum as like your kids are 5 and under, right? Because we're still kind of grappling with the effects of having those babies like up until toddlerhood. And I really work with those women to identify, what areas in their bodies might be out of balance or out of alignment. Because, it's a very rough time where you're experiencing burnout. You might be fatigued. You might notice like hormone imbalances, whatever you're dealing with. We build a plan together to address those, root causes. And it's a food first approach. So everything that I recommend to my clients is all food based. And then also stress management, of course, like some of that life coaching is sprinkled in there too. But it is a really sort of a functional nutrition, assessment program.
Cool. I love that. We're going to talk more about your work specifically because there's some things that I think are also important that you haven't quite mentioned yet that I think are important to understand about what makes it really more high level. But I want to rewind the clock a little bit to when we kind of started conversing, which was now 6 months ago, because we're slowly wrapping up our first chunk of coaching time together. And I'm lucky enough to continue to coach you over the next year as well. We've had a lot of great chemistry and that has excited me. And I'm totally partial because it's a health space, right? So there's
yes,
there that is good for me. But I want to just share kind of with the listeners where you were when you reached out for coaching and you were sort of kind of interested in getting some support.
Yeah. Okay. So that was around the end of last year, right? And so that energy is kind of like when you're going out of the year and into a new one, you're really reflecting back on your past successes or quote unquote failures and looking forward to what do you want to achieve? And in that time frame for me, I just felt very lost. I wasn't really sure where I wanted to take my business or like what my, highest leverage actions would be, who I should really be focusing on. I kind of had waffling around like what my niche was going to be. And I just didn't know what the next steps would look like. And the year before, had just started my business. And of course, when you're starting out, you spend a lot of money. And I ended up in the negative, which is not where I wanted to be. And so the next year, I told myself, like, I'm going to do this. Like, I want to build a successful business, make actual money. And I knew I needed support. I come from corporate. That's my background, is actually corporate marketing. And I really missed having mentors and that guidance that you get from those higher level managers, but also teammates and feedback and collaboration. And when you're an entrepreneur, those things are missing. And I really felt that absence and that loss. And so I had been following you for a while. And you are somebody, they say you should always find mentors who have done the thing that you want to do. And you've been very successful in health and wellness. And I wanted to learn from someone who understood that space and what I was trying to achieve with my business. And I just felt like it was a perfect alignment. And that's really what got the ball rolling.
Cool. I'm honored. I love that you shared something that's important to highlight too, is you do not have a health and nutrition background. You literally come from a corporate marketing space. I mean, like many of us, our own journeys drive us towards this passion. And I think so many of us come to this point, especially in the first year to two of business, where we still have a lot of that imposter thoughts of like, do I really know enough? Am I far enough ahead? You see like these PhDs out there in the health and nutrition space doing similar things or other things. And we're like, yeah, but am I really qualified? So can you speak a little bit to like what prompted you to want to coach and how you overcame like some of those limiting thoughts to just say, yes, I'm all in on this?
Yeah. So like I mentioned earlier, and I'm sure we'll get into it more, I really deal with women who are going through that matrescence timeframe. So that basically that journey into motherhood. And the reason I love that time frame in female's life is because I had a huge sort of aha awakening, I guess, at that time in my life. When I had my first son, I was in corporate marketing. I loved my job. I worked in tech doing software marketing. And once I had my son, I just was not fulfilled doing that anymore. Plus, I was struggling a lot with postpartum anxiety and depression. I just felt really lost and couldn't really remember like what brought me joy, or I didn't know where to turn, all of those things, right? Plus you're taking care of this little one. So it was very overwhelming. And I really turned to the holistic wellness space to support myself, plus support from, the community and other mothers and all of that. But changing my diet, focusing on stress management, setting very strict boundaries with work and my schedule, those were the things that I felt like made the biggest impact in my health and wellness. And that was just sort of the aha moment for me. Like, why is this information not out there for other mothers to like learn from? Because I know I'm not alone in that lost burnout feeling that I was experiencing. And it made me angry that it wasn't available. But I stuck it out. I had another baby. And then once I went through that second child journey, I just kind of was done with the corporate life. And I really wanted to lean into nutrition. It's always been one of my hobbies. I've loved way back in the day. My husband and I dabbled in like paleo and all that when it was popular. And yeah, I just loved it.
Ditto.
Yes. It was a long journey, but I talked to my husband and we decided I would quit my job and go back to get my nutritional therapy certification and health coaching certifications. And fast forward, and I'm here today. There's a lot of stuff that happened in between, but there's only so much time we can talk about that.
Just giving yourself permission to do the thing that truthfully ignites your life and letting go of the belief like that we have to have it all figured out. If we can have a clear view of what it will end like, there is, I think, such an important learning curve in entrepreneurship to really depend on faith and self-trust to know that I can count on myself. Like I can count on myself. I will figure out a way. And I think that's also the one thing that stops people because they don't have that level of self-trust and self-belief, which we're chronically massaging, pretty much one of the most important aspects of entrepreneurship. Then it's easy to just say no to yourself. And the fact that you can see that, the end vision, right, is a really powerful catalyst to move forward.
Yeah. Well, kind of going back to that limiting belief thing, like I dreamed of leaving my job when I had James. He's 6 years old now. That's where the seed was planted. And I could not foresee myself ever doing that because it was too scary, because the financial, implications of not working in corporate and all of that. So I went back to work and I was unhappy in my life and just kind of going through the motions every day in, day out. Then I had Griffin. He's 4 now. And once Griffin was here, I think I just was like leaning more into that feeling of knowing that this is not what I wanted. Like I knew that being in corporate was like, not this, like that feeling of not this. So then what? And I had that idea like, okay, I think I want to serve other mothers. And so that's when I really started leaning on the tactical things to like push through my limiting beliefs. Like, no, I need to show myself. I need to find the evidence that I will be okay. So we hired a financial planner to like help us map out our financials if I was to leave my job. I started working with a life coach at that point, and she was like helping me work through some of those things and just kind of like really leaning into, I need to find the evidence that supports this, because that's how I kind of pushed through. And once I got to a place where I felt comfortable, then I was able to take the leap. But of course, I still struggle with those beliefs all the time. Imposter syndrome is so real. I had it in corporate too, in marketing, and now I'm in nutrition. It's the same thing. I think everybody deals with it. But yeah, it's just being willing to kind of take action while you feel uncomfortable.
I think it's the fact that we're like biologically wired for fear of the unknown. So when we're not really sure, because we've never been there before, it does require us to embody that kind of notion of be her now. Like the girl that already has those things, what decisions would she make? And she wouldn't stay in corporate, right? Because that would just tap her out. And just understanding that biological wiring, it doesn't go away when you reach the next level, when you hit the 6-figure mark, when you hit the multi 6-figure and 7-figure, right? None of that fear goes away. It just looks different because the growth cycle, it is a cycle, right? It's cyclical. And so we get to that level and then we're like, oh, dang, like this feels like kind of familiar. Like I was here. And you're like, yeah, I have, but now I have new learnings that I'm bringing to you. So it's really like a new level of that fear. And I think that's really powerful to remember, on this journey.
Absolutely. Yeah, 100%.
So let's talk to deciding to invest in yourself. We start working. Obviously, when we started, really, you were kind of in this really dabbling with clients stage, right? You knew the potential that you had to offer, but really having paying clients was not something you were consistently experiencing yet. I'd love for you to talk about what that looks like now.
Yeah. Okay. So I think one of the things you said to me when we first started working together is it's a hobby if you're not making money,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. It's a very expensive hobby. And that feels like exactly my whole year before starting to work with you. It was a very expensive hobby, which I loved, but I just couldn't like lean in. And I do think some of the things we talked about before, like the belief in myself and all that was holding me back. But now I feel like I have a vision. I have a goal to move towards. I know how I want to get there. And I feel very like visionary, but also tactical. Like there are, steps out in front of me. I can see them clearly, 1, 2, 3, 4. And when I see myself, when I do those things, I see results. So as soon as we started working together, I started getting discovery calls booked. And I'm sure I was giving off like an energy of abundance as well. But people started reaching out to me. I started to get more referrals. And once I had some successful clients like through the door, then it kind of like flywheeled and it's kind of getting its own momentum and going. And the more actions that I take, the more the flywheel has started to spin. And it's very exciting to like see that happen. So I think that this year will be the first year that, well, of course, it will be the first year I make a profit. I'll make a profit.
Yeah, heck yeah. I mean, I'm not going to say, I don't like to say ladies' numbers like goals and revenue goals. And that is not the sole way we, if you are judging your business solely on the revenue markers, it's dangerous in my opinion, for your sanity and for your own, personal ability to grow. But you're already surpassing really the halfway of where you wanted to be. And that's evidence. But I think what really comes up for me is letting our actions strengthen our belief. It's like we have this belief that there's still this little part of us that's like, is it really possible? And so I'm constantly tasking my clients to go out and take action and do these scary things, not because I want to be mean, but because I know that by taking the action, they will go, I did that. Like I did that. I could have easily said no and not done any of the tasking and the things that we talked about, but I chose, I'm in charge of my results. And when I go take that action, the belief is strengthened that more is possible. And you're such a testament to that.
I feel that. I feel it. So hardcore taking action is everything.
Yeah. So can we speak to that action? What do you feel like is the one piece of action that you're now doing consistently that's really been transformative for you so far from your perspective and keeping that steady stream of clients coming?
I think two things stand out to me. One is talking about myself more and what I do more. So I feel like before I started working with you, I would talk about what I did occasionally. People they don't see everything that you put out there in the world. I'm talking about social media and email and things of that nature. And I just had in my mind, and it's good to provide value, but that's really all I was ever doing, was just like giving information out for free, talking about like things that weren't really related. And I don't think people really internalize the fact that I could help them. And so now I have so much more clarity around sharing what it is that I do and what is the transformation that you're going to experience when you work with me. And I talk about it a lot more. And I'm much more consistent with that. So that has been huge. And then the other piece is like just figuring out what types of marketing actually work well for me. We've been really, since I've been working with you, really leaning into like the workshop style of getting people through the door because they want to get on a call. They want to like know, like, and trust me. And I feel like following me on social is great, but hearing a workshop full of really great information that is, imperative to their life has been key. And that's also been huge. So those two things are big.
Yeah. And this is a mistake that many clients that I work with make is they're really good at offering value at level one, social media, the stuff where people aren't really required to be at. So if you're listening, this is a nugget because this is really important. They're really great at offering that top level of the funnel, which is all the free stuff where we can very passively consume, just glaze past somebody's social media post, glaze past somebody's TikTok video, whatever it is, passively listen to a podcast, which obviously I'm quite a fan of podcasts, but in order to continue nurturing that relationship, we have to invite our people to come closer and have some sort of energetic exchange, which is typically in the online space through some sort of email marketing, right, structure. In your case, workshops feel really great for you and you're really great at them, that you found a flow and you've seen results from them. So like, let's not reinvent the wheel. If something's not broke, we don't have to fix it. And so that is a really important. So that would be that second tier, which can be done of one of many ways, but this is a common misnomer or an error that a lot of people say, like, well, I'm putting stuff on social media, but I'm not getting any clients. And that's because we haven't built that trust yet with them.
Yeah, absolutely.
So workshops are going fantastic. We're experiencing success with clients. My question for you is, like, what sets you apart, do you feel like, from other women doing what you're doing in this space?
Yeah. So what sets me apart is my mission is to mother the mother. Like that's kind of what I have envisioned for myself. And I bring that nurturing calm to that relationship because the women that I work with are in very vulnerable states. They are new mothers, like they have young kids, you know how exhausting that is. And they feel like they don't have time for themselves. And the cultural message that they're receiving is like, well, that's life. You're a mom now. Like, you're just going to be tired, like have a glass of wine, drink some more coffee. Yeah. All of those things, like your exhaustion is normal, but that is not what I bring to the relationship. I do try to understand, where they're coming from, mother the mother, give them that nurturing feeling that they might have been missing, but then also showing them the things that they can do in their lives without feeling like it is too much of an effort or they don't have time for it or it's too much money. The way that I approach health and wellness and nutrition is how can we just add? Like, how can we find the things that feel good to you, that fit into your lifestyle, that feels like you're prioritizing yourself, that doesn't feel like you're not, you're restricting yourself, things of that nature. So I think that really sets the work that I do apart because I really do not condone like calorie counting or macro count. Like it's a much more of an intuitive eating type of process. Plus, there's the life coaching support of it, right? So we're doing food, we're doing, health and wellness, but it kind of goes hand in hand with stress and figuring out your core wants, desires, needs, like how do you meet those things? So I could try to interweave those things together when I'm working with clients. And I think from my past experience with the ladies that I work with, it seems to really pay off.
Yeah. Well, adherence, which I would just lump that all into, adherence is one of the most important aspects of coaching, because we can give them the content, but the implementation and the repetition and going out and doing the damn thing, right, which I would call adherence, sticking to what they said they were going to do, is always the greatest struggle. And that's where the life coaching, where the skill set of, this is my own personal opinion, but where a lot of certifications fall short is it is that book work, right? It's like, here's the thing. And then until we go out and we experience real life coaching, we don't realize like, there's like, oh my God, what do I do with a client that does this? What do I do with a client that does this? Right. And there's so much behavioral aspects of coaching that are key to actually the success of our clients, which you're learning so much right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think another thing that sets you apart though, is you do dig a little bit deeper with functional testing. And
yes.
I would love for you to speak to that a little bit, because that for me is a really important part of the puzzle. So we can look at like what's really going on underneath so that we have some answers to better understand ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. So that is the awesome part about nutritional therapy, is it's root cause based. I think we talked about that a little bit at the beginning. So you come to me with some symptoms. Say you go to your doctor, you are having some hormonal type symptoms. They might just say, okay, we'll just take these birth control pills and that will fix the issue. But they don't ask, well, why are you having the symptoms in the first place? Like what's happening underneath? What is the root cause to cause those imbalances? Let's just not look at the symptoms. And that's really at the heart of everything that I do, is what is happening. We do a thorough assessment up front. What is happening in your body and what systems might need a little bit more support? So for example, your digestion is foundational to your health. And that's a key piece of what I do with every client, is how well are you digesting your food? What is the state of your gut health? And we can address that specifically by functional lab testing. Doing tests, a stool test specifically for your gut health, which is like basically you have to poop in a box. It's not like sexy by any means.
But it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, not that big of a deal. But it gives us so much information and it allows my recommendations to be much more targeted. So we can for sure see, oh, you do not have enough digestive enzymes. Your microbiome is, not balanced. We've got some opportunistic bad bugs in there that we need to get rid of. So it's much more specific and targeted versus someone who's just telling you, well, just go add collagen to your coffee, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's the difference. And I can also do labs around like your hormone health and your stress levels. But again, we always start with the gut because that is foundational to everything else.
Yeah. Amazing. I just wanted to make sure you shared that.
Yes, I should have covered that earlier, but thank you for going back there.
Yeah, of course. So can we speak to like what brought you to the place where you were like, heck yes, I need support. Like I want coaching. I mean, you mentioned a little bit about the camaraderie, the accountability, but I know that saying yes to investments, like that stickiness is where so many people start to tell themselves stories. And then like, which investments to make, in our business that are the most worthwhile. So I'm curious, like what helped you say yes? How did you work through that in your mind?
So for me, it was kind of doing that exercise of seeing where I want to be and where I am now, and then finding the person who has where I want to go to, right? Or who has experienced that. And that was, obviously it was you. And I knew I just needed that little push, because without the accountability factor of someone telling me like, I want you to do this and I'm expecting you to do this and I'm going to be proud of you when you like finish it, without that there, I just wasn't taking action. Not the action that actually was important. Of course I was writing some social media posts and like doing some things, but I was not messaging people to ask them how they were doing, when they interacted with me. I was not following up with them, doing those high leverage things. And so it was just really clear to me that I needed help. I think the other piece of it is like, I have experienced the magic of like investing in yourself and receiving the ROI in the past. And so I knew if I did this, like I would get it back. And so it was easier for me to say yes because I've experienced things in the past, I think.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's true. It's once you say yes, the investment becomes less scary and you start to see the ROI, you start to gain confidence, you start to be more selective on who and what experience are part of that. And, I encourage all of my clients or discussions at some point of, start putting away that educational fund. Like every month, pay yourself out a little bit of money so that you can save for the coaching experience, the masterminds, or whatever investment you want to make in your business, because that will pay leaps and bounds. And understanding that when you invest in coaching, there are most times where you recoup that money in that experience, but it's really not about that. For me, it's about the longevity of what I learn in this experience is going to pay dividends for years and years to come. And it's part of the process.
Yeah, 100%. I think another big component is I really want to be a great coach. I love the nutrition side of things so much, and I love the functional labs, but the piece that is so much fun is when you get on a call with somebody and you break through like a barrier that they were holding up. Like, and a common one that I think we both hear is like, I don't have time for this.
Yes.
And being able to work through that with someone and have their like light bulb moment go off, like that is what makes it worth it. And I want to get really good at doing that. And again, I knew I needed help to get to that place. And so that's also one of the reasons why I'm continuing on with coaching.
Yeah. I mean, and to mention that, I think there's two lessons that come from this for all of us listening is the people that we're already working with are the warmest client leads. And if you don't have a process in your business, I think one of the errors I made early on is I just assumed like, oh, well, we signed like a 6-month or 3-month agreement. We're just done. And then we get to the end of that. And it wasn't until somebody was like years ago, well, I don't want to be done. Like, is there something else? And I was like, oh, they want more? I didn't realize that, right? And so this is a lesson, and we'll have episodes about this, but nurturing that re-up process. And it's not for all clients may not be best fit to do that with. Like you energetically may be like, okay, I think this relationship is over. But someone like you, I'm like, oh my gosh, I still see so much opportunity. Like, let's keep this train rolling. And the cool thing about renewing a client is when you can authentically just say, right? And I encourage that for you, for anybody, is like really look at and start that process early, 30 to 60 days before that timeline is coming up. So you can say like, is our last month going to be spent here, like creating, like putting a little bow on it and creating a plan for them to go out and execute? Or are we going to keep this thing flying and we're just like not going to stop? And when a client says, I want more of you, it feels fantastic because you know that you're serving them. And second is it's a testament to service above anything else in our business to continue that income flow because, they are the most important people.
Yes, I've had a couple of clients, like I'm new in business, so I'm just now kind of like nearing like people's ends of their terms, their 6-month programs. And I haven't even had to bring it up because they've come to me and we're like, I want to do another 3 months or another whatever XYZ thing. And I can agree, it is the best feeling ever.
You've served someone so well. So yes,
yeah,
totally agree. Well, I'm so proud of you and I'm so honored to continue to watch you grow. I would love for you to share with the audience too, where they can connect with you, learn more about your coaching and follow along on your journey.
Yes. Okay. So I have an awesome freebie for anyone listening that I think would be fantastic for someone who is just starting out on the health and wellness journey and they want to really feel better in their bodies. Maybe they're dealing with low energy, just all kinds of things. It's 5 ways to feel less exhausted in motherhood and how to start feeling better right now. So simple tips and tricks. You can get that at my website, amberdawnwellness.com. Then if you want to follow me on Instagram, I love to interact with people there. And my handle is amberdawn_wellness.
Cool. Amazing. And we'll put all those links in the show notes so you can connect more with Amber. But thank you for joining us and being an amazing example of what is possible and showing us that you don't have to have all your shit figured out before you just say yes to a vision and a dream. And I'm so excited about what's to come. So thank you.
Yay. Thank you.
Every week, I put my heart and soul into this podcast to bring you value and to help you grow as a person and as a coach. And one of the ways, very simple ways you can return that favor is by leaving us a review. So if you haven't left us a review, head on over to Apple or Spotify, leave us a review, let us know how we're doing, let us know what content you love and which content pieces are really speaking to you now.